There she is. The White Witch. Prisoner in ice.
I wonder what sorcery, or worse, sorcery, we'll have to use to get her out.
Welcome to Divinity, Original Sin, or Divinity for short, or Dialogue Island as I know it, and soon you will also. This masterpiece of art was created by the lads at Larian Studios. You might know them for their earlier games named Divinity, but I doubt it because they weren't that very memorable. But let's get back to Dialogue Island. Why is it called that, you ask?
I suppose I should make a proper introduction.
So many centuries I was civilized,
Don't we all long for a sanction?
That's why. Divinity Original Sin takes place somewhere in Europe, my guess being France.
I'm Chef Maurice, the one and only culinary connoisseur capable to make a dish for an army with little more than a single chicken.
And we all know in France, there's churches filled with spooky skeletons. Women shopping for cheese.
Halibut, sheep's cheese, tomatoes.
And their police are always drunk too.
You know what? We'll take you two to the wizard.
And beach invasions from the Nords. Get used to barrels exploding from fireballs, being teleported onto you, and explosive booby traps. That's why we invest some perception into our archer to spot those darn traps. And then our mage can cast a fireball at them to set them off, or our Templar can throw a Molotov cocktail at it.
A fine vintage!
And he's our protagonist. When you first start the game, you get presented two characters to make. It's not just because there's a lot of skills and magic in the game, and they want you to experience all that. Instead, this game was built with co-op as its focus. I'll touch more on that subject in story though. Just now know that you and your friend will be playing a lot of rock, paper, scissors in the future. For gameplay, it means you have different specialized characters to make. It's up to you what you want them to be. These characters can range from a sneaky snake thief, a boulder dropping wizard, and many more. The beauty of Divinity is that there isn't a predefined archetype for your characters. Do you want to play as a two-handed storm knight, jumping from enemy to enemy, stunning each one, and then attacking them with a big two-handed sword? Go right ahead. You'll just need to invest some poison into arrow surge and some two-handed. Hey, why not add a point or two into warfare, so you can learn how to whirlwind, and that way you can attack instead of one enemy, multiple enemies. Or maybe you have a bone to pick with those spooky sniper skeletons over there. Why don't we teach our archer black magic, so we could summon our own bastard sword wielding skeleton to bash those boneheads? Wanna have an artillery expert? No problem. Just invent some points into geothirst to drop giant rocks on enemies. Then put a point into fire magic and then you can have flaming giant rocks on enemies. Which brings me to combat in Divinity. I'm sure you could already tell there's magic in this game. Well, the biggest talking point about Divinity is how the magic interacts with itself. That giant rock I mentioned earlier also leaves a puddle of oil. That oil can be hit by a fireball, a fire grenade, a fire arrow, or connected to a fire source already. You get the point. Now imagine a puddle of water instead. You can hit it with an electric attack and stun enemies, use an ice attack on it to freeze the water, causing anyone to slip on it, or hit it with a fireball to make steam that obscures line of sight. Alright, you get the point. But do you though? Did you know that if you make someone warm, then if you make them even more warm, they combust?
They stopped the hurricane!
Okay, now you get the point. As I mentioned before, this is an RPG. So that means you get skill points to spend when you level up. So that way you can acquire stronger abilities. That fireball turns into a meteor storm. And that simple lightning bolt turns into a thunderstorm later. You won't get these strong abilities till a good 40 to 50 hours into this game though. This is a long game, by the way. Which brings me to leveling in Divinity. The max level you can achieve in this game is 20. This game took me about 90 hours to beat it on my first playthrough. Granted, I was playing on Tactician mode, which buffs the enemies and greatly improves their AI. If you played on normal instead, I'd still say this game would probably take you around 50 hours for your first playthrough. But not all of that time is going to be dedicated to combat. A good amount is, but you'll find yourself mostly interacting with the civil side of this game too.
What sort of arrows do you want? Freezing? Silver? Poison?
It's your usual stuff, selling stuff to traders, buying skill books for new abilities, talking to NPCs around town to collect quests, and stealing paintings. A lot of paintings. If you don't have a painting thief in your party, you need to rethink how you play RPGs. Paintings are common, worth a good amount of gold, and easy to steal. You don't need a character with upgraded sneaking to steal them either. All you need is a few levels into lockpicking. Just try not to get caught. You'll get your hand slapped the first time, but keep doing it and you'll either have to bribe your way out or try to persuade your way out. Persuasion is handled in an interesting way. Take this example here. We just got teleported into a bathroom and a woman's taking a bath. How embarrassing. She's reasonably a bit upset by this intrusion and tells us to get out.
Gods, what is going on here? First I have to shoo away a creeping white tomcat, and now there's a perfect stranger in my bathroom. Get out, will you?
We try to persuade her to let us stay and help her with those hard to reach spots. Once you select one, you're presented a game of rock, paper, scissors. Each time you win, you get X number of points shown in parentheses by the person's name. These points are dependent on the situation we're using persuade in. And that's persuasion. Not a lot of people like the system, and I can't blame them for it.
This room is private.
That's just an example from one of the many quests in Dialogue Island that you'll be doing in this game. There's another quest you find while digging up random graves. There's a dead philosopher ghost. He tells you to go read the book about philosophy on life and death that he wrote. Then, after you read it, he gives you a pop quiz on it like you're back in college. And speaking about graves, look over there. There's an orc crying over his dead brother. Orc tradition has fallen warriors be buried with the best equipment available. Well, I don't know about you, but it'd be such a shame for that good equipment to go to waste in the ground. But maybe your friend has something else called morals and disagrees with your idea.
Don't be such a softie.
Moments like these are where Divinity shines as an RPG. During quests and random world interactions, your player characters will react to it. Do you remember the paintings I was talking about earlier and how you should steal all of them? Well, after my archer, named Trevel Slayer, stole so many of them, my other player reacted to this and said something.
That doesn't belong to us, you know.
But sadly, I don't have much to say about the main quest. That's because it kinda sucks. Okay, maybe that's a little too harsh. There is a story here, and I'm sure the writers at Larian Studios put a lot of work into it. It just didn't pay off though. A quick summary. Your source hunter sent out to investigate a murder, and eventually you're teleported to a place outside of space and time with an annoying imp.
That lasts a billion words. What's this? 2 Rivalonians here?
He says that time is being eaten by someone's persona's space dragon, whatever. You meet the god of time and she doesn't know your destiny for whatever reason. And now you need to go find these things called bloodstones for more plot to happen. And after you get so many of these stones, you kill the dragon and save time. Hooray! I believe this story suffers from pacing, and a complete contrast to its main gameplay. When you first start up, you're automatically immersed into this world. You can move objects with telekinesis, there's a talking clam,
Call me Ishmael, son of the sea, an outcast upon these wretched shores.
and just a lot of hilarious accents.
He'd believe it was noon at midnight if he read it on a printed pamphlet.
Point is, there's a lot going on and a lot to do. Whenever you do something in this world, the world reacts to your action, which makes you, the player, feel like this is a living, breathing world, which is enhanced by your player character reacting to your decisions as well.
Well, whoop-de-tiddly-doo. Does that mean you had to cast that hide behind your mother's skirt spell?
Since this game has more of an open structure than a linear one, having the story be this grand tale of stopping the end of time doesn't work, because when you're being told this, it's serious and very important. It should be your main concern. But 25 minutes later, after learning all of this, you find yourself fighting skeleton pirates to reunite a zombie's head with his missing body.
The feeling of air in my minimally perforated lungs. Well, not
quite blood, but lovely ooze pumping through my only moderately decayed veins. What a joy it is, my friend. What an absolute joy.
The main story of this game should have been very simple. They should have just had some evil sorcerers trying to take over the world, and you learn about the evil plot the more you play through the main game. Dropping all these bombshells about the end of space and time after about 40 minutes of being in a coastal town with funny accents. It just doesn't mesh well altogether. But Divinity takes great inspiration about what John Romero said about video games. John Romero said games are like porn. The story's nice to have, but it's not the main reason why you're there in the first place.
Do you suppose that's what destroyed those dragons?
How can I suppose anything with those eyes sizing me up like so much rump roast?
The gameplay is. Anyway, the gameplay mechanics here are deep and complex enough to carry this game through your whole playthrough. With its dynamic magic system, its fun characters, and its main co-op focus to it, Dialogue Island will offer you an experience that will top any RPG you've played before. Thanks for watching, till next time.